Oh yes. So I've also included about 20 photographs in the book, um, kind of show show from a photo that what the change is, and what these boomies are. But having said that, boomy mapping or boomy reading is an art, is a skill. Um, Myself, I started in a way do it um, about 15 years ago when I started to study Zen calligraphy. I was a student of a Japanese master called Terayama Tanchu Sensei, who was probably the foremost specialist on uh, Zen Buddhist calligraphy and Buddhist art in general in Japan. Terayama Sensei, he was very well known throughout Japan, and I was fortunate to um, study with him for 3 years before he passed away. And so, in a nutshell, I've also included this in the book, but Zen calligraphy or Zen art in general, what it means is that what is the difference between ordinary art and Zen art? The difference simply is that somebody who does Zen painting or Zen calligraphy, when the art piece is done, the that paint or black ink, it should, when somebody views it, it should transmit the clarity, stability, equanimity of awareness to the viewer. And also it should shine with pure vitality. So the idea of Zen art is that somebody who's had awakenings, kenshos, satoris, and who has practiced meditation, has recognized his natural state, should be able to transmit this natural awareness, the clarity, purity, aliveness of it into the art piece. So Terayama Sensei was a specialist on this kind of art, and I remember the way how he used to teach. We used to spread out these big sheets of white paper, and calligraphy with black ink and like a calligraphy brush is an ancient art in China, Japan, in many other countries in Asia. And so we used to have these big sheets of paper, and in Zen calligraphy we use these big brushes so that the diameter of the brush is very large. So they are like a proper large brushes, and we used to do that, different characters, different, or maybe just straight lines or circles or whatever. But then we would hang up these calligraphy works to the wall, and we would let them dry, have lunch in between, and then afterwards gaze at this calligraphic work that we had done. So we would look at them and sense, feel what our own calligraphy, what it tells us, what Sensei's calligraphy tells us, what it transmits us, what kind of factors we can distinguish from the energy that was coming from the calligraphy piece. And also I feel that I was very, very fortunate to be Terayama Sensei's student, because he had a lot of art treasures in his house and in his, different training places where he taught. There was calligraphies by the greatest Buddhist masters throughout the centuries. And he would, when we started a practice session at his house, for example, he would, maybe we would have like tea before we started practicing, and we would discuss some particular Zen master, for example. And then he didn't say anything when we finished the tea. He would just go into there was this large shelf full of calligraphy scrolls. There was hundreds of them there. And he would go to the shelf and pick up a few different scrolls, and then he would put them up, in this training room, dojo. And there was works by Teshu, Hakuin, wow, really big names of Zen Buddhist and other Buddhist art. So we used to do the same process of viewing the art, sensing it, feeling it, explaining to each other what we felt, what we sensed from that work of art. And of course, even a person with little sensitivity, and I think that I didn't have much sensitivity at that point, about 15 years ago, and I was still new for the art, right? But we were looking at the works of Buddhist meditation masters. So even then, for me, I remember it was easy to see that, okay, there is some significant clarity of mind emanating from this black ink or painting. And also Terayama Sensei would ask like special questions, like suggest something to me that I wasn't able to detect, but he was. Just like I do now with my students when we are Bhumi mapping ourselves or other open heart practitioners or practitioners of other schools of Buddhism. I can do the same now. But that's how it started, really, from this really old tradition of Zen art and Zen calligraphy, Zen painting in Japan. And this way of studying art has been around at least 1,000 years. So in this sense, the way how we apply this reading of subtle energy in open heart Bhumi model is not anything new. It's just that the way how we apply it is through photos, and of course it can be done in person too, but especially in reference regarding these Bhumi centers inside the head and above the head, and also reading the general energy of the person. And photograph, like a good quality photo, stores files that moment really nicely. So even if we had photos from decades back, we can still tune into a certain person, certain practitioner, certain master, and feel that state of awareness he or she was experiencing. So that's what we do with Open Heart Bhumi model.